news,
Lobbyists are fed up with politicians accepting their money and then not coming through.
opinion,
When the automated police force orders you inside, that's just them doing their job.
remix.
Even lost my job partially due to the whole global warming issue. Increase in oil prices. This guy's scared.
This is Top Story with KLIXcast and Jill Skeen,
I've been a listener for about 20 years.
I'm talking to you makes me feel better.
where the news meets your opinion. Pick up the phone and talk about it. 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
And good morning to you two also. 736-0300 is always the number to call, and welcome to Top Story. And Jill, it's so nice to see you again.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. It's been so long since I've seen you, my friend. 24 hours.
No. It's been 22 hours, actually.
Why? Oh, yes, that's true. I do see you after the show. Amazingly enough.
If we're going to do it, let's do it, let's
22
do correct
hours.
calculations here.
Fine.
So, hey, good morning.
It just seems like 24.
Yeah.
It's Thursday. Before the last holiday weekend of the summer.
I know.
What a bummer.
And the second day of the Twin Falls County Fair. I feel a little
What?
remiss in my duty. I should have said yesterday that it was the first day of the Twin Falls County Fair.
Yeah, we did.
And it totally slipped my mind.
Well, didn't we have John Pitts on?
John was in on Tuesday.
Was he?
Yeah,
Well, we
the
said
day
it was
before
going
the
to,
first
but
day
we
of the
said
fair.
it was good. We had Monster Truck. We talked about it.
We did.
I wonder if anyone went to that. I didn't get to go last
Benito
night.
did.
Did he say it was fun?
Yeah, he said it was good.
Did he get to drive it?
No, he didn't say anything about that.
They were going to say you could drive it.
Yeah, I don't know.
They said if I went out there, they'd let me drive it.
I would.
Then they told me I'd have to sign a release, and then I thought, well, how dangerous are these things?
I don't think they were worried about the truck. They were worried about the driver.
Yeah. Why would they be worried about me? Anyway, it's Thursday. And you're going to be out at the fair today.
I'm going to be there today at 1 o'clock at the Twin Falls County Noxious Weed Bureau booth.
I know. I told you I'm going to give you a wheelbarrow of my weeds to give to them. So they could look at
you
them.
are.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do at their booth? What are you supposed to do? Bring weeds? What?
They have a lot of information on weeds and eradication of such. And I'm sitting here a little bit embarrassed because I just realized, because I'm supposed to be there at 1 o'clock today, and I emailed Penny Main, one of our sales executives here, and asked her, I says, okay, where is their booth located? In an email that she sent me, it says located east of Ag Building near Miller's Elephant Ears. So she already gave me that information, and here I am sending her an email asking me where the booth is. Do you know
where that is?
No, I don't.
Miller's
I'll
Elephant Ears. That's the only direction they can give you. Find the elephant ears, Kelly. It's near there, because chances are you might find those.
It's east of the Ag Building, so I'll probably be able to find out. So,
I don't know.
But at any rate, I'll be there at 1 o'clock today.
That'll be fun.
So stop by, and we're going to be talking to Callie Sherrill, who's the noxious weed superintendent for the county, and maybe Roger Batt might be there, who's the state executive director. So, but he's been running around. He's been running around all over the state because I guess we have a real problem with purple thistle.
Really?
So
what does purple thistle look like?
I don't know. I really don't, but I'm going to find out today.
Yeah, because I wonder if it's what's in my front yard.
I don't know. Might be.
I should bring you my weeds and have them identify what the heck they are.
They'll do that. They will do that.
They are growing rampant because of the rain.
If you have something growing in your area and don't know what it is,
I don't know what half the things are. I say to Tom, I go, is this a weed or a flower? Because, you never know. Out here, he's like, I'm not sure.
You have to be careful, though. If you pick what you think is a weed to take it to be identified, it might be some rare endangered species, and you'll wind up in jail. So I don't know.
So you're telling me I should pick it then?
Pick it your own. Yeah, pick it. Definitely pick it, Jill.
Pick it.
And then tomorrow from 4 to 6, I'll be there at the Twin Falls County Republican booth. So,
wow.
The Governor Otter's supposed to be there.
Pinch you. You just can't get better than that.
They can't.
They didn't invite me.
Other than the fair food.
Like I said, they can't handle the truth. That'd be hilarious. Yeah.
So
anyway, well, you should have a good time.
We have Ida Rogers coming up. She's going to be talking about the Walk MS benefit walk that's coming up here soon.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the Cops of the Bad Guys list. I believe today is Twin Falls County.
I don't know. We have the list behind you.
I know. And I'd have to turn around away from the microphone.
That would be a shame. I think it's the fourth week. It's the fourth week, yes.
And then we normally have Randy Stapilus on Mondays, but Randy was on a panel at the Snake River Basin Adjudication on Monday, so we have rescheduled him for today at 8:40. We're going to be talking about Snake River Basin Adjudication and all that stuff. And a lot of folks who have moved here in the last few years probably have no idea what that is all about. Well, Randy's going to talk about it. It's very interesting.
It's been going on for years.
If you have anything to do with water, it affects you. So be listening for Randy coming up at 8:40.
And Supreme Court Antonin Scalia spoke there.
Yes. Yeah,
he
did.
Was so
That's
proud that they came up with something. It's like, wow. I mean, I guess this goes on for years and years. So anyway, it'll be interesting to hear from Randy.
And then at 9 o'clock, we'll be talking about a teacher in Maryland who was suspended from his job. And we will tell you why. And you might think, what?
Okay.
That's the hook right there.
There you go.
Sit on the edge of your seat
Tune
and just
in
wait.
to 9 o'clock because you won't believe this one.
That's right. You won't. Even Jill is stymied by this.
And you said Cambridge. I'm like, Massachusetts? No, Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland.
And you said Dorchester County. I'm
Maryland
like, Dorchester, Massachusetts? No, Dorchester, Maryland.
It's east of Idaho, so it's back east, you know, so that's just dangerous territory. It just is anything east of the Idaho border. Well, I don't know. There's Idaho and Montana. They're pretty good. But anyway, you're still a chance of dangerous stuff going on. We do have some news to talk about. 1 month ago, the speed limit on the interstate was raised to 80 miles an hour.
Yes.
And you might be wondering how that's going.
How is that going after the millions of dollars we spent on that one?
Well, I don't think we spent millions of dollars.
All the signs and studies.
I don't think that was millions of dollars. Might have been hundreds of thousands, but not.
But
we're
just flush with money.
It's time to have Nathan Jerky back in with the transportation department, and he can talk about that.
He was the one who said it was going to cost us a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think everybody was surprised that it happened as soon as it did, because after talking to him, I thought it was going to be a couple of years.
Such a pressing issue.
Anyway, some troopers noticed that as soon as the speed limit went to 80 miles an hour, some drivers took that as a green light to go 90 or faster. ISP reports it has issued more speeding tickets on the faster freeway sections compared with the same period last year, but exact numbers aren't available, according to an article in the Times News.
Really? Because they're still calculating?
Apparently so. ISP says 80 miles an hour is plenty fast, and troopers will issue tickets to anyone caught going faster.
See, they ruined it, because before they went 75, they went 80, 85. No one paid attention. Now it's 80. It's like, boom, you're stuck at 80.
Yeah, you're going to get a ticket at 81.
They ruined it.
They say that this is not unofficial permission to drive 85.
Really?
We are not giving people a break on speeding tickets. Once they're over 80, the 80 mile an hour speed limit, that's it. They're breaking the law.
See, before they used to kind of let it slide.
Now, I have, as I've mentioned before, traveled back and forth from Twin Falls to Boise on I-84 a few times.
Mach 1.
No, actually, I'm not really. I drive, when the speed limit was 75, I would just drive along with traffic. I would drive between 75 and 80, okay? 75 and 79. And now that it's 80, I will drive 80. Maybe 81, just kind of depends. But there are some people who still pass you like you're standing still.
Right. I mean, I still don't understand the need for it. I don't understand. It just seems silly. And when you're in an accident, and we've heard from the state troopers that your chances of being hurt more severely or making it out of it, or they go down, you know?
Yeah. So
anyway, whatever. More tickets. I guess the revenue will help pay for the signs.
Yeah, there you go.
There's always a silver lining, isn't there, Kelly?
Did you see this? Zara yanks baby shirt after online uproar over Holocaust likeness?
I saw the shirt and I thought, what the heck is that? It looked like a Holocaust shirt. I'm like, what the heck is that? Well, they used to wear yellow stars on their arms, Kelly, to indicate that you were Jewish. Do you not remember that? They used to have stripes. Do you not remember that? I guess
I wasn't paying that much attention. But this one here, fashion chain Zara has come under fire for selling a baby's pajama top that many on social media claimed looked like the uniform Jewish prisoners were forced to wear in World War II concentration camps. The top, which has since been removed from stores and online, featured white and blue stripes and a 6-pointed yellow star on the front that was intended to represent a sheriff's badge.
Yeah, they used to wear them on their armbands, the yellow star.
Star of David.
Which is a 6-pointed star to indicate that you were Jewish.
But a lot of the
that doesn't look like
law
a sheriff's
enforcement badges, yeah, it does. It's got the little rounded tips and everything, as far as I can tell in this.
Anyway, you think you could be a little bit more clever, but anyway, whatever.
I don't know. A lot of people are offended by that. So.
Well, when I first saw it, I didn't even have to see the story. I'm like, what the heck?
Really?
Yeah, it caught my eye.
I don't know. It just seems like people are just looking for ways to be offended today.
I think designers could be a little bit more creative. Where do you come up with? And P.S. What's the stripes? If you're the sheriff, it looks like you'd be the prisoner with stripes. I don't know. I mean, come on. Can't Zara come up with something a little bit more clever?
It's a pajama top. Yeah, I don't know. It's a pajama top.
Why not a swastika then? There you go.
I don't know.
It's just a little lines that go around, and, you can make butter out of it.
With all the bad news that we usually have, here's something that happened.
News.
A horrific tragedy brought these two together. It's their undying love that will make sure they never part. On Saturday, James Costello, who was seriously injured in the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings, married Krista D'Agostino, the nurse who helped him through his recovery, according to a statement released by the Hyatt Regency Boston. So this guy was seriously hurt in the bombing. They took him to the hospital. This nurse, who was actually a temporary nurse, she was a traveling nurse, and she was there for 6 weeks.
She was in the rehab part.
In the rehab part.
Yeah, not the hospital.
And she helped him get back to, he could walk again and do all this kind of stuff. They fell in love, and they got married.
Isn't that nice?
Only in America, huh?
Isn't that nice? I'm sure it happens in other countries. Nice. But yeah,
and
that's lovely.
They had pictures of a lovely couple.
Yeah.
And they should, live happily ever after.
There's a front and a back to everything, KLIXcast.
Well, sometimes
a front and a back to everything.
In tragedies, you need to look.
There's a silver lining.
For a silver lining.
And you know what he said? I'm glad I got blown up. I would have never met her.
Wow. Yeah.
But think about it. He never would have.
That's right.
So anyway.
Isn't it interesting? And we could probably all go back, and I don't want to get too philosophical here. But, we can go back on our own lives and we can think of certain situations that happened that if they had not, and they might be pretty serious situations, that if they had not, then something good that happened might never have happened.
Well, I met Tom in Philadelphia at a macrobiotic health week because his sister said to him, "Oh, Tom, just go. It might change your life," or something. It will change your life. He only went because she wanted him to go. Because I remember I was working at the school and studying, and he called, and she signed up for this program and said, "Has my brother called yet? Has my brother called yet?" And signed up. I said, "No." So when he did, he said, "I'm just doing this because my sister wants me to." One more happy participant at SHI.
Thanks, Tom.
That's how we met. That's how we met. That's why I'm here.
I know. So. Interesting stuff. We could probably have story after story, but we're going to talk about the MS Run Walk next here on Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. We're going to be talking here about a way that you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. You can get some exercise, and you can help out a worthy cause, because we have Ida Rogers and Sarah Ringling here with us this morning from Walk MS. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So tell us, what is Walk MS?
Walk MS is an event sponsored by the National Multiple Sclerosis Society that we put on here in Twin Falls to help raise awareness and funds for multiple sclerosis.
How long has this been going on?
That's really a good question. We've had some debate about that this morning, but we think at least 5 years, possibly more.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great.
So what is MS? Why should people be concerned about it?
MS is a disease where your white blood cells attack the neurons in your brain, the nerves and the neurons in your brain. And so it can have a number of different side effects. It's wherever those white blood cells decide to attack determines your side effects. And there's no cure. There are treatments, though, so that people can continue to live their lives.
Is it a big problem in the Magic Valley? Do we have a lot?
Well, Actually, Idaho has the highest incidence rate in the United States of MS, with approximately 1 in every 300 residents being affected by MS. And MS is very unpredictable, and it can be very disabling, and it just depends on your particular type of MS that you get. There are 2 types of MS. There is relapsing remitting, which is the most common type, where people will have a bad spell and then kind of bounce back and do okay. And it's most effective for the treatments that are out there. And then there is chronic progressive, which is kind of as it indicates, you get it and you chronically and progressively get worse. And the medications are not necessarily prescribed for it or helpful with that particular type.
So what type does Idaho lead in, or does it matter? Or is it both?
Doesn't really matter. The most common is relapsing remitting, and it affects mostly women between the ages of 20 and 50. The incidence in men is less, but my husband passed away almost 10 years ago from MS, and he had chronic progressive, and he had it for 10 years.
Do you think there's something in Idaho, either what we're eating or what we're doing, or the things that we like to do out here as opposed to other states?
There has been so much research. They think that it's linked to location. The incidence rate is higher the farther away you get from the equator, which is why commonly your doctor describes you heavy doses of vitamin D.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
That your doctor will prescribe you to take vitamin D.
Oh, heavy doses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. But they can't link it to anything. They have suspicions, but they don't know. There's evidence that it's genetic, but they can't prove that it's genetic. It's kind of a mystery disease. They don't know what causes it.
So that's why the money for the research.
Exactly.
If they can figure this out.
Exactly. If they can figure out what's going on, then we're that much closer to a cure.
So what are the details then? The walk is coming up when, and how do people get in on it?
The walk is coming up Saturday, September 20th at the Buzz Langdon Visitor Center, which is right by the Prime Bridge Overlook. And please don't let the construction of the new Visitor Center shy you away from coming to the event, but actually help draw you in to see what a wonderful visitor center is being built there. And we're going to walk right along the rim of the canyon on the trail there, and it's about a 3-mile walk.
Oh, great.
Oh, okay.
And at the conclusion of the walk, Chick-fil-A has generously donated sandwiches for everyone, and Smith's is donating cookies, and we'll have chips and water. And we have a silent auction that goes along with the walk, and wonderful prizes and recognition. It's just a great time to feel support and to support those people that have MS.
And what's the registration?
There is no registration fee to enter the walk, although fundraising
I thought it was
is
a
encouraged.
fundraiser.
Fundraising is encouraged.
So how do the people donate then?
You can actually go to www.walkmsidaho.org, or you can call 800-FIGHT-MS. And once you go to that webpage, you can join a team, you can create a team, you can donate. Just anything that you can feel like you could do would be greatly appreciated.
Do you get a T-shirt or anything when you sign up?
You get a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
You
what else do you want for crying
I'm just
out loud?
curious. People wonder, you just have to ask these things. That's fine if you don't. It's okay.
Part of the fun of it is different teams have different T-shirts. They dress up differently. Obviously, it's a fun walk. It's not a competitive walk, but it's a great opportunity to come out and see. I think a lot of times you're surprised at who has MS.
Yeah, and so this is just kind of something to raise awareness for multiple sclerosis then.
And it's Saturday, September 20th.
Correct.
What time did you say?
Check-in begins at 8 o'clock. We'll have a program at 9:40 where we'll kind of welcome everyone there and have a great kickoff, and the walk will actually start at 10 o'clock.
What's the website they can go to again real fast?
WalkMSidaho.org.
Exactly.
And call 800-FIGHT-MS, right?
All right, very good.
Well,
ladies, thank you very much. Ida Rogers
and
Sarah Ringling, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
You're welcome. Coming up, we have Randy Stapilus with the Idaho Political Update. Actually, we're going to be talking about water this time. Oh, you're right. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry,
What's
Jill.
going on today?
I don't know. That's why I keep you around here.
Oh, is that right? You keep me around?
Keep me on time. You're like my executive secretary.
Don't even say that.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Well, I stand corrected.
Well,
See,
you don't.
We don't have the county today. Nobody showed up.
They're supposed to be here.
I know. This is the first time this has happened in a long,
never been stood
long time. We've been stood up by Twin Falls County.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We don't get even, we get ahead. All right?
Sheriff Carter, what's going on with the
Just
staff?
want you to know.
What is happening out here?
I will tell you this, that we've been talking a lot here recently about Far More of Idaho and some of their technology advancements. And we've been talking about the Certiset, which means no moving pipe, no borders. With a Certiset, you can grow and harvest every square inch on your field. You don't have to go around every spring or fall, whenever you do it, with a ground sterilant and kill it so that you'll have a place to put all the pipe. Because they have a new pipe, it's called Certiset. It's a flexible pipe that just goes right out into the field, and it flexes around. You put attachments on your equipment that lift the pipe up in front of you, set it down in back of you, and you can just do whatever you need to do in the field. So ask them about it. It does not require that you move the pipe out of the field before you harvest or do any work in the field. And then when you're done, you don't have to go back and put the pipe back in. It's already there. You just work around it. And they'll tell you all about it at Far More of Idaho at 324-3341 or at farmoreofidaho.com. It's slick stuff.
That's how easy that is.
You got it.
So easy. Okay, so remember yesterday we were talking about more female voters.
Yes.
And how I said that I think we need more female candidates, which we do because we're clearly not represented equally. Well, and some people said, well, no, if you were a woman, you'd still vote for a Republican, blah, blah, blah. Okay, a new internal Republican report confirmed that women are not fans of the GOP, and Republicans have more work to do if they want the female vote. Now, remember, after the last election, there was this whole autopsy. They lost the women's vote by like 38 points, something crazy in the presidential election. The report, which was obtained by Politico, found that although Republicans have tried to improve outreach to female voters, women still believe the party is, wait for it, stuck in the past and intolerant. 49% of women polled for the party looked on the GOP unfavorably. Only 39% felt that way about the Democratic Party. The study was commissioned by two conservative groups, Karl Rove's Crossroads, GPS. He did so well with the polling last time, remember? He insisted Romney was winning Ohio.
Where did they poll these women? Must have been Massachusetts, New York, Los Angeles.
It was their own polling. Are you kidding me?
I understand that.
American Action Network. This is not a surprise. It offered a stark picture of how women view the Republican Party as a whole. Women are barely receptive to the party's policy proposals, the report said, in part because Republicans fail to speak to women in the different circumstances in which they live. The report drew its conclusions from focus groups discussions and a poll of 800 registered women voters. In top issues such as healthcare, the economy, and education, the poll found the Democrats held a huge advantage. For example, when considering which side wants to make healthcare more affordable, the women surveyed chose the Democratic Party by a 39% margin. They also said that a policy of
That's not even a majority.
That's the margin of how much they polled. They also said that a policy... Well, you can ignore this. That's fine. Lose every election. Go ahead. They also said that a policy of equal pay for equal work would help women the most. To make electoral gains in 2014 and 2016, the report suggested that the GOP soften its opposition to legislation supporting pay equity. The party should also tackle economic issues like gender bias in the workplace, the report said. Given that abortion can be a wedge issue among women, the report recommended that the party deal honestly with any disagreement on abortion, then move to other issues. The GOP has tried to make women a priority since 2012 when female voters chose President Barack Obama over Mitt Romney. Okay, so it wasn't as much, 56% to 44%. Republicans created political action committees dedicated to female voters and female candidates. However, they have not found an effective way to engage women on equal pay issues, probably because they don't vote for equal pay issues.
Obama hasn't done a very good job with that either, because there are reports coming out all the time that even in the White House administration and around there, women are still paid less than men. They still
Not
are.
for the same position. Not for the same position, and that's the whole thing. But the
point
of it
is,
the
pay rate is still lower for women than it is for men in the White House. Now, he was
point
going
of
to
it
equalize
is
that, but he hasn't.
The point of it is they can't pass an equal pay for equal work law. I mean, our own senators in Idaho voted against that.
Why would you have to pass a law in order to make that
They're
happen?
not paying it, are they? Why not?
The White House isn't either. That's what I'm trying to say.
Actually, for the same jobs they are. What are you not listening? If you're in the same position as a man, you get paid the same way. It's not there's no discrepancy in that. That's the facts.
But overall, the women are still being paid less in the
They are
White
paying
House than the
because
men.
they have different positions,
That
but
shouldn't
not
make
the
any
same
difference.
position. Okay.
Equal pay should be equal pay.
You know what? And guess what? The Republicans still can't hear anything about women's issues, so good luck in 2016. You'll never have another Republican president.
We'll be right back with Randy Stapilus. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And I remember many, many years ago, this was back in the 80s, when they started all kinds of litigation, I guess. There's probably a better word for that. But there was a big dispute over who really did own the water in the Snake River. And that started the Snake River Basin Adjudication. They built a building here in Twin, the Snake River Basin Adjudication Court. I knew people who worked in there. It was a big deal. But I think over the years, the importance of that has kind of slipped us by. And we have Randy Stapilus with us. He usually is with us on Mondays. But this week he was attending some special panels, and he was moderating the panels at the Snake River Basin Adjudication. It was kind of, I guess, a celebration of the end of that era. But at any rate, Randy can probably explain it better than I can. But good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So how did the moderation go at the SRB? And what was that? Was that kind of a celebration of the ending of the court, or what exactly was that?
Well, actually, what it was at the end of the day was a signing of a document, and it was kind of a ceremony like governors often use to sign kind of important bills, in which the SRBA presiding judge, Eric Wildman, signed what was considered to be the final order, the final decree in the SRBA, and that means that at least more or less, mostly in theory, and you hear those weasel words there, the Snake River Basin adjudication is done. Now, there are a few things that are still hanging out there, and in truth, the last pieces haven't been totally put into place, but essentially the adjudication is 99.9% complete. And 158,000 water rights around the Snake River Basin, and that's a lot of water rights, have been approved now.
Oh, okay.
And so that's kind of a big deal. Before that happened, during the day, there was what really was kind of a day-long seminar on the adjudication, and I was able to moderate two of the panels that discussed what the SRBA was, why it was needed, how it operated, and where things go from here. And those first two panels that I was involved with actually featured all of the people who were on them, either were current or former Magic Valley people, which is kind of an indication of how important the Magic Valley is and has been in the SRBA.
So how did it change things? Because they said Idaho Power had a lot of water rights, and that a lot of people thought that they shouldn't have how has it changed things going forward now? Is there going to be a dramatic change?
Not in the sense that a lot of people are going to be using a lot of water in drastically different ways. I think one of the reasons that it kind of worked was that it didn't change the way things generally are done for the most part on the ground. But what it did do was to set up a good deal of certainty. There's now solidly in the record a declaration of the rights that everybody has in the Snake River. And that was never there before, really. The situation before was kind of what led to the adjudication in the first place. The idea, for example, that was the launching one, that Idaho Power had rights that could preempt most other people's in the Snake River, and that could put a lot of irrigators, a lot of farmers, could put a lot of people out of business if they had if they had pursued that, and if there hadn't been some kind of a settlement.
Which is kind of ironic, because big irrigators who use a lot of big pumps are are good big customers of Idaho Power.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And they didn't really. Idaho Power didn't. It's not as though Idaho Power wanted to damage these people or put them out of business, because they're important customers of theirs.
Right.
And they were aware of that. They didn't want that kind of a fight, but they were kind of stuck themselves, because they were obligated to their ratepayers and more especially to their stockholders to get the most value for their stock and to keep their rates down. So given that, they were pretty much obliged to do what they could to defend those water rights, and once the court said that they had them. And so the first thing that happened back then, after the Idaho Supreme Court declared that Idaho Power had the earliest priority date rights on a lot of that, the first thing that happened was that Idaho Power sued 7,500 people.
Yeah.
And if nothing else had happened, if there had been no settlement, a lot of those people would have just been cut off of water, and a lot of farms would have gone dry.
Yeah. What to the average ordinary person like me, we're not going to notice anything. And like you said, nobody's going to really notice anything anyway. But I remember back in the early 80s, I think it was, I attended a meeting at CSI on this very issue, and they handed out these little cards that we with domestic wells were supposed to fill out and hand in. Now, maybe you don't know, maybe you can't answer this, but did that have anything to do with this whole thing? I mean, did that kind of solidify my rights for a domestic well, or?
Yes, it sort of does. There wasn't and isn't a strict requirement that domestic water users like you would absolutely had to participate in this. You could opt out. There's still kind of a recommendation to participate in, because if you do, and assuming that the right is approved, and practically all of those kinds of what they call de minimis rights, very relatively small scale rights, practically all of those are approved. Once they are, then you have them, locked down legally. It's the same as having a deed to your land and house down at the courthouse. It's the same kind of thing. It's more solid than it was before. It's really not even much subject to dispute.
Will this adjudication have anything to do with helping Idaho keep its water? Because I know throughout the decades there's always been talk about California wants Idaho's water, and I know there's really no way to deliver it to them right now. But if there were any question as to who the water belongs to, does this help solidify Idaho's right to that water, so California couldn't come in with some big?
Well, I think it does. It does solidify Idaho's rights to the water, because it makes it possible for the state to argue that all of this water is being beneficially used, and here is exactly how. There's no need to speculate. There's no need to draw general conclusions or guess. Idaho people could go into court and say, we are already using this water, and this is exactly how we are using it. It's very very clear and precise. Where it may actually wind up practically mattering more, maybe right within the Northwest, and that's an issue in the Idaho Panhandle, where they're starting to get into some adjudications. Washington State is starting to claim as much water as it can in eastern Washington from some of the rivers that go through both Washington and Idaho, and there's some real question about how much they may be able to claim, and that's a real issue there. But for a bigger picture, for longer term, it really kind of locks down Idaho's use of the current water that it's had, and it would make it, I think, legally almost impossible for somebody else to reach in and grab it. Even that's even apart from the high cost and the difficulty of doing it on a practical measure. But let me mention one other thing real quick about California, at this conference on Monday, there were there was a substantial California delegation. It was at least a half dozen people. I think it may have been a dozen. And I talked to a couple of them, and what they said was that we are in terrible trouble down here, which they are, because their drought is awful. And they are looking toward what Idaho has done and trying to find lessons that they can use in terms of improving their water situation, their water organization management. So you have California looking to Idaho to try to figure out how to manage its water better.
Didn't they really? I mean, part of the problem was, the development that they had, that they overbuilt, or the towns expanded so much. Wasn't
they
they
have lots of problems.
Yeah.
The kinds of water use that they have accounts for an enormous amount of water that I think a lot of people in Idaho would look at as probably being kind of wasteful. They do not meter or track the amount of water that's being used in a lot of cases. In Idaho, there's a lot of water metering at wells and other locations. In California, they don't do that. In a lot of ways, California acts as if it's a water-rich state when, in fact, it's a pretty water-poor state.
Yeah, as they found out the last year or two.
I sometimes
very
think
much
we
so.
do too. But Randy, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia spoke, and the comments I read in the paper, he was almost surprised or really was happy that they came up with this agreement, because so many states have had trouble coming up with this. What were some of the messages that he gave?
Well, it was certainly very much in praise of getting something like this done, and this was something that was done through the legal system. And so in part what this was a Supreme Court justice who was talking about what the legal system could accomplish. But one of the points that he was making philosophically, and this was about as close to as he really got in this discussion to his legal philosophy on the court, was to say that this was something that a state government accomplished, and he said that he was very much in favor of more in favor in a lot of ways in having states do things than the federal government do things. I guess I would just add, though, to that while a state played a very big role in this, certainly, so did a lot of other people, including a lot of federal agencies and tribes and local governments and others.
Right.
So this was really a widespread, really a very cooperative kind of thing, and that was a key to getting it done.
We got a caller. Let's go to the phones. Top story. You're on the air with Randy Stapilus.
Hello.
Yep. Go ahead.
I deal in water, and so I know a little bit about it. But what Idaho needs to do is we need to develop recharge sites all up and down the river so that we can capture the floodwaters that go off in the spring every year. There's just a lot of years there's a ton of water goes out of the state for no good reason, and we could sure use it in our aquifer to expand the number of rights that the state would put out for beneficial use.
Yeah, and I think, actually, isn't it, Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a lot of the water that Washington is after, in Oregon.
Oh, that Washington and Oregon do pick up on a fair amount of that water. There is some talk about figuring out how best to deal with the spring, with the higher spring runs. And there's been one of the legal issues that's still been kind of hanging out there to a degree is the question of water use by people who have relatively junior water rights early in the year. If they let that water pass by, have they kind of in some ways forfeited some of those rights? That's been one of the issues that's come up. But that whole area of storage and of early in the year runoff is one of the subjects that we'll continue to see. It's it's a good example of the kind of thing that although we have the adjudication complete, there are still plenty of legal issues out there. Still plenty of water issues that are going to be going on for some time, and this will be one of them.
Yeah. Well, Randy, we're out of time. We appreciate that update. Very interesting on Idaho's water.
Thanks,
Very
Randy.
good. Well, thanks to do it.
All right.
Have a nice long weekend.
I guess Monday is Labor Day, so I guess we'll have to make arrangements for next week too, won't we?
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of you on that.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
We'll talk to you a little later.
All right. Bye-bye. And welcome back to Top Story, 7360300 as the number to call. Coming up a little bit, we're going to be talking about a Maryland teacher who was suspended, and when you hear why, you will be shaking your head. Either up or down, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
we'll find out.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank one of the members of the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department, Sergeant Haskell, for
being a listener.
Listener and running interference for us and making some certain phone calls.
And yada, yada, yada. Ken's here today.
Sergeant Ken Menzel. Yeah. Actually, I guess to be official, we should do this. Sergeant Ken is a little late, but that's okay. Actually, you had a good reason,
Voila, I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone why?
This is a week that the Sheriff's Office really kind of amps up what we're doing. It is Twin Falls County Fair Week, and that's where I was at last night.
Yeah, and you were there till like 2 in the morning. So, and when you came by, I thought, oh, well, I didn't know it at the time, but when you said you worked until 2 in the morning, I kind of felt bad. I thought, oh, shoot.
You shouldn't feel bad.
Doesn't the Sheriff's Department have somebody else they could have sent in your place, and let you do a little sleeping, but...
Anyway, well, we appreciate you there.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on.
And we're so happy they're listening.
Yeah. Our thanks to Sergeant Haskell.
He should enter to have lunch with Kelly and me.
No kidding.
I know.
So the fair is going on.
It is, yeah.
So this is, Thursday, so it's the second day. How did the first day go?
We had a large showing last night at the Monster Truck Show. The grandstands were full. I know last year we had about 1,800 people show up, and it was packed with more than 2,500 people last night.
That's awesome.
Oh, very cool.
So we had a really good showing last night at the Monster Truck Show.
Did you watch it? Were you able to?
Briefly, yeah.
Did it look cool? Did you see the Transformer things?
I saw them come out for a little bit, but I ended up having something else to do.
Yeah.
I could smell the fair food, so that kind of took my attention away from the truck show.
Is there food here? Yeah. So what do you expect for this fair? I mean, what should people not do? What should people do? What do you expect to have a incident-free fair?
We've had some really great improvements this year. There's lit parking now, so the parking lots are all lit up real well, so people can see when they're going to and from.
Yeah, out there in the hayfield?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
what they light them up with? I mean, they didn't install permanent lights, did they?
Yeah, we've got
kerosene lamps.
Yeah. I meant if they had they have permanent lights now.
We have permanent lights up on top of the light fixtures. That's made a huge difference. So
cool.
It should make the parking lot a lot safer at night. Tonight is the rodeo. We got the rodeo coming on the next couple of nights. Yesterday was alcohol-free day. Today we have the beer garden as well as the next couple of days. So
do you think that's made it? I know there's some controversy that even was instituted a few years ago. Has that made a difference at the Twin Falls County Fair over the years? No alcohol as opposed to with alcohol?
We have it strictly staffed. We have deputies. In fact, that's one of the assignments that I'll have tonight being out there, and we haven't had a problem. There was some controversy. I wasn't involved in much of that, just one of those side listeners that got to hear both sides.
Right.
I haven't seen that there's been specifically a problem, though, so it's working out so far.
Well, if you have a specific area for people to go and drink, the responsible drinker is going to do that. But even if whether you do or you don't, if you got a drunk, they're going to show up to the fair drunk anyway. So
yeah.
Probably doesn't make that much difference.
So with the beer garden, with the area that you have to drink in, just like smoking, we have certain areas where people can smoke. With the large amount of staff that we have out there from the Sheriff's Office, the Twin Falls County Fair is one of the safest fairs in the area, and we hear a lot of compliments from people about how nice of a job that John Pitts and the Sheriff's Office and those involved with making a great fair really do.
So do you look forward to that every year?
Is it kind of like... I used to early in my career.
Yeah?
I wouldn't say that I dread it. I do enjoy meeting people, but... sometimes there's some things that go on that it's a long day when you get a lot of sun and you're walking around all day. It gets pretty tiring. Right. We've been blessed with some great temperatures this year. I think yesterday it was 77, 78 degrees. So it really was a pleasant day yesterday, and we're hoping to have more of it.
Yeah, were a lot of people there for the first day, do you think, as opposed to the monster truck, like just during the day overall?
Overall, it was pretty sparse in numbers from what I could see.
Okay.
But the monster trucks show up first. It was pretty sparse, and then all of a sudden, the closer it got to the show, the lines just lined up. And
that's what we do around here. We are last-minute people.
I know.
We always do everything at the last minute.
It's tough sometimes when you plan events because you're pulling your hair out going, are people going to show? And then they just come in waves, which is great. So I'm glad it went well for those guys.
The rodeo's usually well attended, and then the concert Sunday night. I think that they've done a good job. I think we're going to see a lot of people show up to the fair this year.
Yeah, that's right. We got the concert, and it's a big week going on. What about traffic? Has there been any traffic issues? Seems like they've always been able to handle that pretty well in the past.
With the experience we've had over the years, we've had some issues in the past with deputies kind of getting hurt and whatnot, but with all the cones and the lighting systems and just the experience that we have, traffic usually flows pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the big question. What's your favorite fair food? And do they give you stuff or you have to buy your own?
Yeah, we buy our own food.
Okay, so what's your favorite fair food? Don't say the donuts, because it's a stereotype.
I know,
it's
but
the stereotype.
that's what I'm going to have to go with.
No way.
Little chocolate-covered donuts.
No way.
Yeah, that would have to be it.
I can't believe it. All right.
I always have somebody go buy them for me because I won't be caught eating them in uniform.
Yeah. I know. Isn't that such a bad stereotype?
It is.
It's sad. But okay, go with the chocolate-covered donuts.
There's always seems like a little bit of controversy once in a while on what people can take to the fair and stuff. And I know there's a movement with open carry and stuff, but can people open carry a weapon on the fairground?
We discourage it. In fact, we've had people open carry in the past, and we've spoke to those individuals and just explained to them the nature of why we're having a fair, that it's a family-oriented environment, and open carry really does kind of shock the conscience of those who are in the area and see that happening. And really, there's not a need to open carry at the fair. There's enough deputies in the area that should something go awry, we're there and we can take care of what's going on.
So do you tell them to put their weapon in the car?
Absolutely.
And do they have any problem with it?
And we really haven't had any problems. It's not that we're trying to discourage anybody from exercising their constitutional rights, but that's just not the proper forum.
And knives, too? People bring knives to the fair?
They do, yeah.
Now, what about concealed carry? That, I suppose, is different. You won't know it, I guess, if they're concealed carrying anyway. So
if you're concealed carrying, it's simply not visible. Yeah. We never really have much of an issue with that just because we don't know that it's happening. But again, the fair's not really the place to worry about those kinds of things. We've got the staff out there to deal with that, and that's exercise your rights to do that probably somewhere else just so that people can have an enjoyable experience at the fair.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of you can't just take your own alcohol on the fairgrounds, can you?
No, you can't.
Do people do that? Do they sneak in with flasks or something?
Or your big 44-ounce cups that you get from the 7-Eleven or the Oasis.
And they have it with beer, and they don't think they'll get caught?
No, sometimes we catch it. Sometimes we don't.
I guess they figure if we get caught, we'll just toss it. If not, I'll have a beer to drink.
There you go.
So in the beer garden, my question is, if you had some fair food, are you allowed to bring it into the beer garden to eat it with your while you're drinking a beer?
I haven't seen a problem with that. I don't know the rules per se, but I wouldn't see that would be a big issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people like to drink beer with their.
Well, I know, but I'm thinking if you have to drink right there with your chocolate covered donuts, but if you're in your garden, if you can bring fair food in, or not, that was just a thing I thought of. So, and then also there's a monkey exhibit. Did you see the monkey exhibit?
I did not.
You didn't?
Huh.
No, I'm sure you'll have to see that today now because she mentioned it, right?
Yeah.
Anything, what's going on outside of the fair? I know, there's still a world of law enforcement out there. So you didn't bring any bad people with you today.
Yeah, we gave them a break this week just because of my lack of preparedness. So we'll get that taken care of next week. School, again, after the fair, we're going to see the county schools back in session, Castleford, Murtaugh. One of the things we're really focusing on right now, there's been some controversy in the past with drone usage throughout the United States, and the Sheriff's Office does have drones. And we've been utilizing those drones in the school this last couple of weeks.
Flying over schools?
Flying over schools,
really?
Mapping the school systems out so that we can identify things like the gas shut-off, the power shut-off, electrical shut-off, telephone shut-offs, getting a really good outlay of where all the entrances, all the exits are to the school, the windows, so that in the event that we're called to a tragic event like what we saw in Columbine or Platte Canyon, our first responders have a very detailed map of what the school looks like. They have a floor plan of what's going on inside. the different layout of the school. We've got Murtaugh.
Is this the first time you've been able to do that? Like, just because you have drones now?
Yeah, because we have drones, as we're looking at increasing the effectiveness of our plans. In the event that there's a school shooting, we know there's going to be chaos already at the school, and the last thing we want to do is to bring chaos to what's already there.
Right.
And so we're not planning for if, we're planning for when.
Do you guys practice things like that?
We do, yeah. We have block training regularly that we've been planning or practicing different things for a crisis that might happen. In the event that any crisis happens out there, whether it's an active shooter, an earthquake, flood, fire, we're always going to be headed that way. And so this is just really a matter of us stepping up and making sure that we're accountable to the students, to the faculty, to our residents of Twin Falls County, and make sure that we're absolutely prepared in every possible way to handle a situation.
So have you been doing that, flying? Have you been taking pictures, aerial pictures over the schools?
Aerial pictures and videos, just really mapping it out really well so that in the event that we go out there and we have to stage and do those types of things where we have a command center and we've got, if we had a shooting in Castleford, the resources with the sheriff's office aren't sufficient enough to handle that event by itself. We would have the Twin Falls Police Department responding with us. We'd have Idaho State Police responding with us, and local different law enforcement agencies as well as EMS, fire. And really it just comes down to making sure that we have a plan in place and that we're familiar with the plan so that we know what we're doing.
With the militarization that we've seen, Ferguson, Missouri sort of opened people's eyes to the militarization of police departments and counties. What kind of equipment? Does the Twin Falls County have any Humvees or any armored or these M16 or whatever the heck, grenades, whatever else, rocket launches?
Don't you?
We have a few fully automatic rifles, yeah. Our SWAT team is really well equipped to handle situations. And you look at a lot of people and they talk about the militarization of the police department, and it's not that we're really trying to be a military type organization, but when you're taking a look at some of the events that are going on out there and you take a look at the number of police officers that die every year, one of the things that is tantamount for us is to make sure that our police officers are equipped well enough that they can survive the event and go home to their families at the end of the day.
I know, because I read on the Secret Service how ill-equipped their weapons are compared to what they're dealing with.
Right.
Do you worry about that? Like, some of these guys are getting a hold of, anything, and you're dealing there with your just, state issue, equipment. And
the last thing we want to do is send law enforcement officers into a situation where you've got guys with fully functional automatic weapons, AK-47s and whatnot, and we're sending in a underprepared police force. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
So do you think you should have better weapons?
I think that the weapons we have with the sheriff's office, I don't see a problem with it. We do have, I believe, sufficient for what we're doing.
For what we're dealing with here.
Right.
What if
you don't have any Army tanks or anything on order? Or?
We don't have any Army tanks on order. We do have
Sergeant Haskell, call in if this isn't true. I'm kidding.
we do have a armored personnel carrier, but that it's not working so well right now. I think it's having some engine problems, but
and that's been around a while too.
It has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Should we have told people
Probably
that?
World War II, maybe. I don't know. Well, Sergeant Ken Menzel from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department, thank you for getting out of bed and coming in to be on the show today.
You're welcome.
And be safe out there. Don't eat too many donuts.
There you go.
Yeah, those chocolate-coated donuts. I tell you, those are good, though.
Endorsed by Sergeant Menzel.
We'll be right back with news of a Maryland teacher suspended from his job for what? 7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Gene Hunt.
Gene Hunt, congratulations. How do you spell Gene? Is it male or female?
Gene, so it sounds like a male. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And your $100 word of the day for today is markers.
Markers.
M-A-R-K-E-R-S. Markers.
Like magic markers for school.
Gives you a chance to win $100. Go to our website, newsradio1310.com. Click on Word of the Day. Type in the word, and then listen tomorrow. And if you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, you win $100, just like that.
How easy is that?
No kidding. It just doesn't get any easier.
Doesn't.
Hey, ran across this story this morning, and I was kind of appalled. We've talked before about The Minority Report, the movie with Tom Cruise.
Don't act like you don't know his name. You love Tom Cruise. You're a huge fan.
And they would actually arrest people based on a crime that they may commit.
Mm-hmm.
And in this day and age, with the technology that we have, with the attitudes that we have, you see things like this that come pretty darn close. And that's, I think, what we have right here. This happened in Cambridge, Maryland.
Yeah, let's make sure it's not Massachusetts. Cambridge,
Maryland. That's right. He's a man with many names, and the books he has written have raised the concerns of the Dorchester County Board of Education and the Dorchester County Sheriff's Office. Early last week, the school board was alerted that one of its 8th grade language arts teachers at Maces Lane Middle School had several aliases.
Okay.
Police said that under those names, he wrote 2 fictional books about the largest school shooting in the country's history set in the future. Now, Patrick McLaw is placed on leave.
And I don't even understand why. Because he
wrote the books.
A lot of people write books under pen names.
You're not going to get an argument out of me on this.
But I don't understand what the charges are and why the police were involved. It doesn't. It's kind of read on.
Let me
Kelly,
read
on.
Dr. K.S. Voltaire is better known by some in Dorchester County as Patrick McLaw, or even Patrick Beal. Not only was he a teacher at Maces Lane Middle School in Cambridge, but according to Dorchester Sheriff James Phillips, McLaw is also the author of 2 books, The Insurrectionist and its sequel, Lilith's Heir. Those books are what caught the attention of police and school board officials in Dorchester County. The Insurrectionist is about 2 school shootings set in the future, the largest in the country's history. Phillips said McLaw, listen to this, Phillips said McLaw was taken in for an emergency medical evaluation. The sheriff would not disclose where McLaw is now, but he did say that he is not on the Eastern Shore.
What did they do with him?
The same day that McLaw was taken in for evaluation, police swept Maces Lane Middle School for bombs and guns, coming up empty.
I don't get this.
Dorchester County Superintendent of Schools Dr. Henry Wagner said the Dorchester County Board of Education has taken its own action. We have advised our community that the gentleman has been placed on administrative leave and has been prohibited from entering any Dorchester County public school property, Wagner said. The 23-year-old language arts teacher had already taught at the school for a year. With school starting Tuesday, some parents say that they are concerned about safety. But both Wagner and Phillips said there's nothing to worry about. There will be a Cambridge Police Department presence at Maces Lane Middle School for as long as we deem it necessary, Wagner said.
How bad was the book? I mean, they didn't say anything about Lilith's Heir, but the Insurrectionist, how awful. And if it's based on how awful, shouldn't Stephen King be in jail? Well, I cannot even read the man's books. Are you kidding me? I don't understand
even
this.
Even at that, you have, we just saw the movie Olympus Has Fallen, which was the overtaking of the White House and the government by a bunch of Islamic extremists. So are you going to start arresting screenwriters and producers and people who make these movies? Because, well, my gosh, I mean, taking over the U.S. government, that's pretty serious. And somebody generally originally writes the book. I think that probably was based on a book.
Well,
so
then
are we going to arrest them? I mean, is this the Minority Report or what? I mean, this is getting... Here you have this 23-year-old teacher who wrote 2 fictional novels, and now
under pen names.
Yeah, under pen names, and now he has been captured, and nobody knows where he is. The police have him, apparently. He's had a medical evaluation.
No, and the worst part, he's now banned from county properties in Dorchester and Wincamico counties, as well as the Delmar School District. Okay, and what message does it send to your English students who want to write the great American novel and they happen to go into a school shooting, which happens all the time? I don't know. We must be missing something here because something is amiss with this story. And how big is his lawsuit going to be against the school system? He didn't do anything. He lost his job. He was a writer.
So they're starting to arrest people now based on crimes they may commit in the future.
What do you guys think about this?
736-0300. We'll be back after the break. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Okay, to kind of recap this story, you have a 23-year-old teacher at an elementary school in Maryland. Under a pen name, he wrote 2 books. One of them is about the largest, these are fiction writings.
Yeah.
One of them is about the 2 biggest school shootings in the history of the U.S., which takes place in the future. And he's taught at the school for a year.
Mm-hmm. They didn't say he had.
They come and take him away,
problems.
give him a medical examination, and ban him from any, and suspend him from his job, and ban him from any county property.
Yeah. And they now are arming the school.
And the police are going to be there making sure nothing happens.
I mean, the interesting thing is, how did the police get involved? And they're like, he has aliases. Well, a lot of people write under a pen name. I mean, who is it? What is the Rowling's? The one who
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Her next book was under a pen name. I mean, that is not a crime. People do that all the time. And if you're going to arrest someone for really crazy stuff, Stephen King should be first on the list. But just because you write about something doesn't mean you're going to act on it. And how bad could this book be?
You know, it is getting scarier and scarier in this country when you say after something like this, welcome to America, ladies and gentlemen.
But, I mean, we're so
on?
shell-shocked. But, I mean, I think this has gone over the edge. You know, you're shell-shocked. I mean, we just heard Sergeant Menzel, you know, they prepare for things to happen at schools. But it's been interesting to talk about this with him. Like, I don't know what the charges are. Like, we have to be missing something here. Something has to be missing.
7360300, Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly and Jill.
Good morning.
Jill, I'm glad to see you have a line.
I have a lot of lines that we agree on, Kyle. You know that.
We agree on a lot of stuff.
We do.
It's the solutions to it that we don't agree on. But this is ludicrous. I mean, Jill hit it on the head. How many novelists should be thrown in jail for their weird psycho books that they wrote that turned into movies?
I know you have to think, how do you come up with this stuff? It's like, what's wrong with you?
Some of these people have deprived minds, but they're not thrown in jail. At what point do we keep killing our First Amendment, and the thought and speech Nazis keep going? That we're gonna end up in trouble. I mean, we're heading towards a situation where if they ever start getting to the point where they can read your thoughts, everybody's gonna be arrested because somebody will think of something that is not appropriate.
Oh, let me tell you what, and thanks for the call. If we could be arrested on our thoughts, I would have been arrested years ago. I'll tell you what, they'd have had me and
daily.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in that head.
7360300, Top Story, you're on the air. What are your thoughts?
Good morning.
You know, they'd do the same thing, though, if a kid wrote a book report on it, and it seems like you guys wouldn't be in such an uproar if they did it to a kid.
Oh yeah, if he wrote about a school shooting or bombing, and then you think, well, but I mean, to be a published author and I don't know, a pen name, what could the guy do? I assume this man will sue the school system and the county,
unless, like you say, there's something else that comes out about this.
Well,
what are your thoughts, caller? I mean, is this America? Is this the America you remember?
No, it's not. But that's what they do to the kids in school, where the little boy chewed up a Pop Tart in the shape of a gun and got in trouble.
Yep.
It all stems way back to that. So, yeah, this isn't the America that it used to be.
Well, the America when I was growing up, too, we didn't have, these mass school shootings either, and we've had so many. So I think it's either overreaction or, I mean, he didn't do anything, so I don't understand. And his other books seem fine. As far as we know,
like you say, unless there is something that is not in the story, if he has, you would think, though, in a case like this, if there had been a better reason that they would have said so, although that's not a guarantee.
I mean, an alias as a writer is so common.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, but they found out he's had several aliases. I'm like, yeah, and they're attached to his book.
What if he'd have written about the overthrow of the government? I mean, then would the Secret Service have arrested him? I don't know. What's this coming to? 7360300, Top Story. You're on the air.
I think he donated to the wrong organizations.
That could be.
I'm pretty sure he did. The other day I was talking to a girl who actually, I think it was Yellowstone. She got ticketed $200 for carrying. She had a Gatorade bottle in her hand. She got a ticket for littering.
Well, did she litter?
And it never left her hand. She still had Gatorade in it.
At Yellowstone
Park?
Yeah,
she got a ticket for having. So it's the same thing. They're ticketing her for the opportunity. I guess she could have potentially littered. She's not from there, so probably not. She just pays the ticket.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's
the thing. Everybody there's a tourist, so they know you're just going to pay.
Yeah.
But this kind of stuff's happening more than we know. I'm sure of it.
I think you're right. Yeah, thanks for the call. We got more callers coming in, too. A lot of people want to weigh in on this one. 736-0300. So if you saw Minority Report with Tom Cruise, does this kind of remind you of that? Well, we'll just arrest them because they might commit that crime. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Don't forget to get a hold of Pat Hartzell from Stanley and Company if you think that maybe a low and honey loader could be of benefit on your feedlot or dairy operation. It loads all types of manure, liquid, frozen, dry. Lord knows we've had plenty of the liquid stuff this summertime with all the rain we've had. Maybe that got you to thinking. Maybe you got to thinking, maybe I could use one of those low and honey loaders. Well, you can set up an appointment to see one of these in operation at one of the local dairies or feedlots. And to do that, just get a hold of Pat Hartzell, and he'll make that happen. 280-1167 is the number. 280-1167. That's Pat Hartzell from Stanley and Company, and he can fix you up with a low and honey loader. Okay.
So this is weird because I was searching for it. It's on Amazon. It was written in 2011, but the one review they have is basically it was posted yesterday, and this is what the review says. You just can't write a book in which someone gets killed and not expect the SWAT to haul you away to an unknown location. This guy had it coming to him. And then they talk about, and then it's about the news article is on the review that this guy was taken away from his house and...
Really?
This is the only review he has, and this is about the news story, what happened to the author.
Interesting.
It's weird.
So he thinks that you can't just write a story about shooting people without having the police come and haul you away?
Well, whoever wrote this was master technician. I don't know. I think he might have been facetious. I don't know. He just said it was about 2 school shootings set in the future, the largest in the country's history.
Interesting.
And then it says, true story. Author was taken away from his house. Google it. And then he goes into part of the news story that we had.
Like how many hundreds of thousands of books that we have today are about people getting shot and killed?
A lot. They have Guns, Democracy, and the Insurrectionist Idea by Joshua Horwitz. That's right down below. So, and here's Lilith Air. There's no, and that was written in October 2013. So he wrote this in August.
2011.
Well, yeah.
3 years old.
What did they just figure out? Did they just start reading it?
736-0300. Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Yeah, that Amazon review, I would say the opposite. I say you should be able to write a fictional piece on anything and not get hauled away.
Yeah,
I think he was probably being facetious. Yeah.
Did you hear about that kid the other day? Got hauled away because he wrote a fictional piece about killing his neighbor's pet dinosaur?
Yes, I did.
No, I didn't.
I heard about that.
His neighbor had a pet dinosaur?
He got arrested because he wrote the word gun in the story. But I'll tell you, as far as this aliases go, it seems to me when they do background checks, they ask for your aliases. And I'm sure they did a background check on this. But did he use the alias Voltaire? Was that one of his aliases?
Yeah.
K.S. Voltaire, yeah.
That's not very original. I like Carlos Danger. You remember Anthony Weiner?
Yeah,
That's a good
one. Right.
I do.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 736-0300 is the number. Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. A lot of the problems we're having in this day and age with the mindsets and the writings is that we took right from wrong out of our children's lives back in '62. These kids haven't been taught morals. They haven't been taught honor, dishonor. You can't correct your children. They've taken history out of school, so they don't have any examples of bad choices and the results of dishonorability. And then we wonder why the government is doing what it's doing. Socialists did the same thing in Germany.
Yeah, I don't think
you're going back to 62.
I don't think a lot of us wonder what the government's doing. I think a lot of us know what the government is doing. But look at it too, in that any mention they're turning our children deathly afraid of guns. Because any mention of the word gun, I mean, you can get suspended for mentioning the word gun, suspended for writing the word gun, suspended for chewing your cookie in the shape of a gun, and then the next generations to come up are going to be so deathly afraid of guns that they're going to just say, we just need to take guns away from the people. And it's just being manifested in the minds of our young people.
But
and
also,
you can see it as plain as the nose on your face.
But also, these kids are dealing with something we've never had to deal with, and these educators are dealing with something, and they don't know if the person who's writing their manifesto about shooting up their kids is fiction or if they're going to do it the next day in school. And that's the problem. You can't determine what's happening. We've had so many school shootings. We've had so many kids that have been caught trying to do it, where they've thwarted the school shooting. I mean, everyone is on high alert, and with good reason. I mean, our officers are preparing not if, it's when. So, I mean, I can understand the sensitivity of it because you don't know who's going to do it and who's not. This I don't understand as an author. Published book, they haven't had problems with the teacher at all. I don't understand.
You never can be too careful.
But we haven't heard anything. And it's like if you're going to arrest like craziness, like I've said, I think Stephen King would be on the top of my list. I can't even read his books.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air.
Hey, Kelly and Joe, it's Carl.
Carl,
hi, Carl.
How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
Don't be reading and driving, How are you?
And you got about 20 seconds.
All right, well, 20 seconds. What is the sheriff's department doing with drones?
It's a common thing. Everybody has drones nowadays.
They're following you, Carl. You better drive well.
That's crazy. Oh, I hope they're not following me. I'll get a ticket. All right, guys, have a good morning.
Have a good day.
I know there has been a little bit of controversy there. Not a great deal. I know they had been using them to fly over fields to find marijuana. So now apparently they're using them to fly over schools so they can map the territory, which makes sense to me.
Again, in case there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Things
Not if,
changed.
but when. And It's time now for the Huckabee Report, brought to you by Waddell & Reed. And you can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger are the financial advisors, and I have a number for you. You really need to write this down and give them a call. 736-6563. All right?
Write it down, people.
All right, write it down. 736-6563.
That's how easy that is.
Here's another one you can write down, too. It's 933-2600. That's the number for Canyon Pawn, Twin Falls' newest pawn shop. And they're on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota. And they have, I don't know, I could be here all day naming everything they have. Yeah. But they've got camping supplies, and they got fishing supplies, and they got woodworking equipment, and they got recreational equipment. And I drove by there yesterday, and they got a little four-wheeler sitting out front there, and they got a scooter, and they've had bicycles, and they've got guns, all kinds of guns. As a matter of fact, you need to stop by and see, check on your chance to win a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger, all right? And they can tell you all about it. They can tell you the details on how to go about that. And I know Dave Hansen, the owner there, he posts a lot of stuff on Facebook, and I'm friends with him, and he was always posting. I wish he'd stop doing it. Keeps posting all these pictures of these beautiful firearms, and I'm thinking, man, I need to run down there and buy that, And so anyway, he's got all kinds of them, and you need to stop in. It's a nice, clean store, and they're taking pawn items now. So if you need some extra cash for an item that you've got, talk to them about that too. They're online at canyonpawn.com. They're on Facebook as Canyon Pawn. They got a phone number. It's 933-2600. And just a good place to go and have a lot of fun. Okay, today I'll be at the fair.
Weed Bureau.
That's right, the Twin Falls County Weed Bureau booth at the Twin Falls County Fair.
All right, so the question is, are you going to go and eat lunch beforehand or after? Are you going to eat lunch at the fair, KLIXcast?
I don't know. I haven't really considered that
You
yet.
haven't.
Maybe both. Maybe I'll eat before I get there, and then be there.
Spare you.
We're going to be talking to the folks there about identifying weeds and some of the weeds that are
I
really
should have brought you some
a
of
serious
mine.
issue in the county. Yeah.
Say, what are these?
I know. Yeah.
What are
I
these?
could have taken it over for you and got it identified.
I'll go home and pick a wheelbarrow and bring it back to the station.
Okay. So anyway, I'll be over there from 1 until 2 today. So stop by then if you can. I'll be at the Twin Falls Republican booth tomorrow from 4 until 6.
And today it's near the, elephant ears?
Yeah, the County Weed Girl's on the east end of the Ag Building near the Elephant Ears.
Right, so if you're getting an elephant ear, go look for Cal.
Yeah, there you go, between 1 and 2.
Only eat one, Cal.
Oh, come on.
What? All right.
We'll be back tomorrow. It's Friday tomorrow, so you have a great day and have fun at the fair. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.